Hi team, it's Mimi. I am so excited to be here with you this week to talk about what is between you and your vision. So I work with a lot of people who are self-described visionaries, right? People who are working toward a purpose, toward a mission, toward some kind of end goal, or who just want to achieve something in their own life, achieve a goal, whether that's for personal reasons or for professional reasons. And as a coach and in my own experience, I have seen two belief patterns that get in our way, get in our own way between us and our goal. And I've seen them over and over and over again, and they are related. And I want to tell you what they are and give you the option of how you can think about them instead. Because I want you to achieve every goal that you ever have. And if you have a vision right now for something, no matter what it is, whether it's going to change the big W world or your little W worlds, I bet it's an incredible vision and it deserves to come to life, and I want you to bring it to life, and I don't want you to get in your own way. So let's talk about what gets in our way. I want you to think about when you were a little kid and you wanted something. I know that I recently wrote this down and I called myself a little chutzpah machine. This idea that like whatever goal I had, I just knew was right. And I didn't ever take someone telling me no as a signal that there was something wrong with my idea. I was just committed to my vision. In this week's blog, the example that I share is that I really wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid. My parents were like, you have to save for one. I was like, let me continue to present to you all of the reasons that it is a great idea for you to just buy one for me. And I did not stop until I got my Cabbage Patch Kid. So the idea that we have a vision, right? And that vision is pure and wonderful and great. And the only judge of it is us, at some point leaves us. And we start to think that our vision and its value is potentially rated or ranked, or it's worth determined by other people. So when we have a vision, we very often have to sell someone else on it, right? We have to get buy-in, but we think about that as selling or convincing. And what that does is it puts us outside of our realm of control, right? It causes us to think about things that aren't our job and aren't our business. When we are selling someone else on our vision, our job is to believe in that vision and talk about it from that place of belief in a way that is compelling, right? Where our measure of success is internal. My job is to believe in this. My job is to present it to my end user in the most compelling way possible. That end user's buy-in is none of my business. That person might believe or might not believe, right? But when we think that the measure of our success is their belief, we show up in a way that is really weird and creepy, instead of in a way that is in full belief and saying, let me paint this picture for you. And I've seen this over and over again. This is true for people that are like, I want to start a company that's changing the world, right? That changes the way that we look at this particular social issue. It's also true for people. Most recently, I was listening to these amazing HR professionals talk about trying to institute change at their benefit corporations, at their B Corps, and saying like, my job is to convince our CEO that this is a good idea. And the way that I want to offer all of the world the opportunity to really just be in their own head is to think it's not about convincing. It is about the value of the idea and believing in it so that that belief is what drives you. And when someone says no, you don't perceive that as a dent in the worth of the idea. You use it as an opportunity to say, how did that message not resonate for my end user? This is still a great idea. I am not losing faith in the idea. I think it's amazing. It might get some changes along the way based on input from other people, but the idea is amazing. So belief pattern one is that someone else's judgment of your vision actually affects its worth. And the reason that that's so dangerous is we stop going back to our vision. We stop believing when we believe that the change that we seek to make in the world can be valued or rated based on how other people receive it, right? It gets us out of our own business. Instead of going back and saying, okay, how do I present this differently again? What's my new game plan? How do I reintroduce this in a different way? What do I do when I'm going back to the drawing board? We take the no as this didn't work. They're never going to believe, and I am the victim of someone else's no. And that is not what your vision needs. Your vision needs you to keep telling people why it's amazing. Your vision needs you to keep getting better at articulating why it's amazing. And this leads me to the second big thought pattern that gets in our way, which is that we biologically hate rejection, right? Our brains, our kind little brains that are constantly trying to protect us, see a no as a rejection, and a rejection is a potential expulsion from the group, which means that we're going to be alone in a cold and harsh world with lots of predators in it. That's what our brain thinks. And what I want to offer you is that we can choose to deliberately think differently about a no. We can be onto our brain and know that a no is not rejection. Because we think a no is, your idea is terrible, you are terrible, I am not sure why you even brought this up in the first place, I don't know why you're trying to start this company, I don't know why you're trying to overhaul our benefits plan, I don't know why you're trying to go against the status quo. We make a no mean rejection in our own mind. And rejection is an emotion that we experience that is caused by our thoughts. So when we choose to think differently about a no and think instead of, this is a rejection of me and my idea and everything that I'm about and everything I've ever worked for, and the catastrophizing that our brains tend to do when we get a no, we can think, oh, interesting. A no is a no, thank you, or a no right now. Or we can lovingly think, interesting, you're confused about the value of this idea. Let me go think about how I can illuminate this for you. We don't have to make a no a rejection. And we don't have to listen to our brain that thinks that we live in a very different world than we actually do, and thinks that a no is going to mean that we're out alone in the cold. Even if we don't realize that this is what's happening, that's what our brain has evolved to do. So we can, with our amazing, uniquely human brain, think on purpose that getting a no is just another opportunity. Right? It's another way to go back and say, okay, I know we talked about this 2 weeks ago. I've taken your feedback into consideration and I want to represent this to you because I think it's an incredible idea, right? Or this funder meeting, this like startup funding meeting, that didn't go the way that I thought it was going to. Great. I'm going to move on to the next one, armed with the main objections that I heard, and learn how to paint the picture of my vision differently. We abandon our visions. We abandon the things that could be our gift and our stamp and our legacy, right? Because we get a single no. We believe all kinds of just absolute BS in our own heads because we get a single no. Because we think that the value of our vision, we get really confused and we think that the value of our vision is actually determined by what someone else thinks when we say it out loud. And that's just not true. Your vision is yours. It is your mark. You can choose to tailor the way that you talk about it to your end users. You can choose to take their input and incorporate it into the way that you share it moving forward. But when you abandon it and when you let your brain tell you that what's happening is that you're going to die and you're going to be ostracized by the group and you're going to be out on your own, you can know with your uniquely human brain that that is not true. You can decide that your success is measured by how well you communicate with passion and clarity. And that when someone says a no, right, you get to choose how you think about that. So if you've got a vision and you've had a no, or this resonates with you and you're like, oh yeah, I do actually, my brain tells me that a no is a rejection. And I feel fear and I feel terrible, right? I never knew that rejection felt terrible because there was a biological component to it. And because I believed that biology, I believed the thoughts that my brain was giving me, right? Like, oh, you're right, this is terrible. This is going to result in death and destruction. We don't have to believe that. So I want you to go out and fight for your visions and just do that with love and passion because you believe in something that you can see. And we just all need to see it the way that you do. And you're going to get there by telling us over and over again how amazing it's going to be. So if this resonates with you, awesome. Have an amazing week. And if you want, you can drop me a line and tell me what your vision is. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye.